Today, we're venturing into a part of the thrift store that I really haven't explored too much, and I'm so excited because there has not yet been a thing that I haven't been able to thrift, and I'm viewing this as a little bit of a challenge because today we're thrifting for books. I'm a huge fan of romantasy, and I also love a good cowboy romance. I know it might be kind of a stretch to find some of those more popular books here, but like I said, I'm viewing this as a challenge, and I don't back down from a challenge. I loved this movie, but I've never actually read any of Nicholas Sparks' books. That one might be a good grab. I looked it up, and this is actually the third book in a series, so don't want to be lost. Interesting. So I watched the movie, and I know there was like a lot of controversy around this book. It's not my typical read, but it might be good to branch out. Let me know below if you guys have read this and what your thoughts were. Gotta look up what this one's about. The Tiger's Curse is a book series. It's the first book in Colleen Hooke's Tiger Saga, a young adult fantasy romance series about a teenager who discovers she must help a cursed Indian prince break his spell, leading them on a journey across the world. We could give that a try. That sounds kind of interesting. This is definitely the genre we're looking for. 17-year-old pirate Captain Alosa allows herself to be captured by her enemies, giving the perfect opportunity to search their ship. More than a match for a ruthless pirate crew, Alosa has only one thing standing between her and the map: her captor, an unexpectedly clever and unfairly attractive first mate Raiden. But not to worry, for she has a few tricks up her sleeve, and no lone pirate can stop the daughter of the Pirate King. I'm really trying to branch out and read more books that aren't just like trending on Book Talk, so I thought this would be a fun way to do it. The Duchess Quest, Book 1. Love is destined to find her. Daisy doesn't know she is the lost Duchess, believed to have been assassinated 15 years ago. Nor does she know that her uncle has implemented an illegal contest to seek her, offering her hand in marriage as a reward. Charmingly romantic and bursting with political intrigue, startling twists and vivid characters, readers of romance and fantasy alike will enjoy this original yet timeless tale of swashbuckling adventure and unlikely love. I know it is not fall, but this totally looks like one of those cutesy little fall romances that I would pick up. She lives in New England town where everyone loves autumn, and she's a barista at her mom's shop, Cup of Joe. As the first fall leaves ascend upon Briar Glen, Lucy and her mom gear up for a busy season. Multinational coffee chain opens a store literally across the street. They want to survive the competition. Lucky will have to set aside her feelings for the popular drink and Jack and make the coziest, pumpkin spiciest season ever. That actually sounds really cute. I might add that to my fall TBR. I love a good seasonal romance, especially around the fall and winter. I was able to find 5 books for $9.50, which is less than half of the cost of one book at the bookstore. I found 2 more romance-leaning options and 3 romantasies, so I'm really excited and I feel like we're off to a good start.
This one goes with that, if
Oh.
you're interested.
Yeah, it sounds intriguing. I was gonna look it up on Goodreads. Thank you. So far, we've spent $12 and have 7 books to read, and I'm so excited. We have one more stop, and I think I'm the most excited. I have lived here for 2 years and had no idea we had a cute little used bookstore. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to find a couple of titles that have been out for a little while that have been on my radar, versus the thrift store. I was kind of just finding books I hadn't really heard of before but was intrigued by. So I'm excited to see what we're gonna find. I feel like this would be a really cute fall read. Not only did I find 7 books for $12 today, but I also found 2 Bookish t-shirts in the men's graphic t-shirt section. While I was waiting in line for checkout at Goodwill, I decided to just do a quick peek, and I'm so happy that I did. For $4.99, I found this Rowan Whitethorn t-shirt. I'm currently reading the Throne of Glass series, so I simply could not get this. I have been seeing these all over Instagram. I have definitely fallen into that side of the algorithm. It's a Comfort Colors t-shirt too, so it's so soft, and I'm so excited that somebody donated this for me to have. I'm a little surprised that I found something like this at the Goodwill, but I am always pleasantly surprised by the thrift store, so this was such a good find. And if you haven't noticed my t-shirt today, I am a big ACOTAR fan. It was the first series that really got me back into reading as an adult. Also for $4.99, I found a Court of Mist and Fury t-shirt. What a day to be alive. So not only did we get an amazing book haul, but we got a couple of extra Bookish goodies. But now we'll jump into the actual book haul because I feel like I found some really good ones and I'm excited to dig into them. We'll start with the ones I was a little hesitant about, but intrigued by. We have Wicked Lovely and Inked Exchange by Melissa Marr. This is book 1, this is book 2. I was excited that I was able to find both right next to each other on the shelf. I was seeing a lot of books towards the later end of a series and kind of missing the first chunk, so I figured I would get them both because they were $1. The rating on Goodreads was 3.7, which is what made me a little bit more hesitant. Some of the other ones that I found had a little bit stronger ratings, but I try not to take those ratings too seriously because I have read some that are so hyped up on Book Talk that I have been incredibly disappointed in, so I take them with a grain of salt. I was really drawn to this because of the dark fairy premise, which is one of my favorite types of books to read. But it says, riveting and dark, rule number 3, don't stare at invisible fairies. Rule number 2, don't speak to invisible fairies. And rule number 1, don't ever attract their attention. Aislinn has always seen fairies, powerful and dangerous. They walk hidden in the mortal world. When the rules that have kept Aislinn safe from them stop working, everything is suddenly on the line. Her freedom, her best friend, Seth, her life, everything. Fairy intrigue, mortal love, and the clash of ancient rules and modern expectations swirl together in Melissa Marr's stunning 21st century fairy tale. I will be sharing my thoughts as I start to dig into these books, so if you're interested in that kind of content, make sure you subscribe to Tori's Book Club. It's the collaborator channel on this video. I'm really excited to start sharing more bookish things because I have been in my reading era lately. I have been devouring books. It's been a really fun hobby for me lately, and I could talk about books literally all day long, so I'm so excited to start our own little virtual book club. Continuing with the fantasy romantasy books I found, The Duchess Quest, Jordina, Book 1 by C.K. Brooke. What drew me to this book in specific was the premise that her uncle is setting up a contest and the reward is her hand in marriage, on top of the fact that she is unaware that she is the lost Duchess, believed to have been assassinated 15 years ago. Something about that premise, kind of the lost heir, reminded me of Throne of Glass and piqued my interest. Soon, young Dany is swept into a comically complex romantic quadrangle as each suitor competes to capture her heart. I've read a lot of love triangles, so I feel like this is going to be just a step up from that. This is not one that I've heard of, but I'm really excited to read it. It had 3.9 stars when I looked it up on Goodreads, and it sounds like a good time. Next is The Daughter of the Pirate King. This is by Trisha Levenseller. I think I'm most excited for this one, and I'm not really sure why. Definitely for fans of Pirates of the Caribbean, guilty. Fierce heroines, guilty. Slow-burning romances, guilty. And adventures that can turn sour in the space of a gasp, so it sounds like it's going to keep me on the edge of my seat. Not for fans of complacent heroines, soothing plots, or those who don't speak sarcasm. Levenseller makes an impressive debut with this funny, fast-paced, and romance-nautical fantasy set in an alternate world of pirates, sirens, and myriad islands. I have read a lot of fantasy books, but never a pirate-inspired fantasy book. This one also had 3.9 stars on Goodreads, and I'm really excited to dive into Alosa's story as she allows herself to be captured by the enemy. I also grabbed The Tiger's Curse. This book is just so stunning and is book 1. I found so many book 3, 4, or 5s, so I was excited to find the beginning of a series. Since this didn't have like a traditional book sleeve, I had to look it up on Google. This is a longer series, so hopefully this has some potential. The Tiger's Curse is the first book in Colleen Hooke's Tiger Saga, a young adult fantasy romance series about a teenager, Kelsey Hayes, who discovers she must help a cursed Indian prince, Wren, break his spell, leading them on a journey across the world. The main series includes Tiger's Curse, Tiger's Quest, Tiger's Voyage, Tiger's Destiny, and Tiger's Dream. The series as a whole had a 4.5-star rating on Amazon and Audible and a 3.9 on Goodreads, so I figured we could give it a chance. Again, it kind of sounded a little bit different than something I would typically read. I'm really excited to venture out a little bit. I feel like I did kind of wormhole into your traditional kind of fairy romance vibes for a little while there, and I'm really excited to try out some other types of fantasy books. I also ended up grabbing 2 more romance-leaning books. Between fantasy books especially, I like to do like a little bit of a palette cleanser book and switch up the genre. If I read too many fantasy books back to back, I feel like I'm sometimes getting the world building a little bit mixed up and they all kind of run together. So I thought these 2 would be great for that. I did end up grabbing Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice. I am such a sucker for a seasonal romance book, and I'm so excited to add this to my fall TBR. I read one this year, I'm blanking on what it's called right now, but I'll put it on the screen, that was such a fun, festive read, and the premise on this one, with them having like rivalry coffee shops across the street and her having to really lean into the fall spirit and the pumpkin spice of it all, just sounded really cute. I know I'm not going to pronounce this correctly, so I'll just put it on the screen here. But I was able to snag this for $1, so that seemed like a good buy. And I did end up grabbing It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I have heard some mixed reviews on this book, and I know there was a lot of talk about it when the movie came out, and I did watch the movie, and I heard there's just a little bit of a differentiation in the tone that the subject matter of this book was approached with. So I'm really excited to read it so I can kind of compare the 2 for myself. I've heard just some mixed narratives on Colleen Hoover as an author altogether. I know she has some that were incredibly popular, like Verity, and this one in particular. And this is just in really, really good condition to find at Goodwill. It was somebody's book of the month. It even still had their book of the month bookmark in it. So that was my book haul. Like I said, I got all 7 of these for only $12, which is less than half of the price of just one standalone read at Barnes & Noble. And I feel like I've kind of unlocked a new section of the thrift store. I will say, if you're thrifting for books, you really kind of have to be in the mood to dig. Read the synopsis and decide if it's something you're interested in or not. Spend some time looking up the titles, looking at the Goodreads reviews, because there are just so many books at the thrift store, and they are, for the most part, from what I observed today, very disorganized in how they're put on the shelves. So if you've got some time and you're in the mood to peruse, thrifting for books, I think is a great way to save money. As I've really gotten into reading, I'm very quickly realizing that it can be a very expensive hobby, and thrifting is usually my answer to avoid that and find a more budget-friendly solution. And I really enjoyed browsing today, and I can't wait to add these to my TBR basket.